Thank you, Mr. President, colleagues. Is there any former election official in this body? Has anyone served as an election official? Has anyone ever worked an election? You've worked elections, great. I served as chief registrar for 16 years. When I first got appointed chief registrar in 1999, my first duty was to appear before the state election board, who Lewis Massey was sitting on that board as Secretary of State. I had to come up and try to repair what our former chief registrar had done in Baldwin County. I got that case dismissed. For the next 16 years, there was not another complaint, not another appearance ordered before the state election board. The state election board has always had the ability to investigate elections. That's what they do. That's what they've always done. Now, I heard someone mention water and line. It wasn't water, ladies and gentlemen. It was pizza, chicken sandwiches, hamburgers, fried chicken, you name it. It was rewarding electors, which in the code is against the law. You cannot reward anyone to register to vote or to vote. ELEC is, and our Secretary of State is purging 455,000 voters. Through, I think about 200,000 was from ELEC, but what about the other 255,000? We've got to find a better way, and this is what this bill is doing. How did we used to register to vote? We had to go to the library. We had to go to the courthouse. We had to go to a bank, or we had to go to a voter drive that was being held. And in order to hold a voter registration drive, you had to go get trained at the registrar's office to hold this voter registration drive. You just couldn't go and hold a voter registration drive. You know what? You can take this little thing right here, right now, and register to vote. You can take your phone and you can register to vote. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been said we're going to make it easy to vote, hard to cheat. And that's what this legislature has done for years. I've seen cheating. I've seen ballot harvesting. I've been in the registrar's office when we had 25 absentee ballot applications come over our fax line. And you know how we caught them cheating? They actually faxed in an absentee ballot application over people who had died since the last voting cycle. It's out there, ladies and gentlemen, and that's what we're trying to do, is to stop that. You know, I heard Cobb County mentioned. Cobb County is the county that set up these pop-up voting sites. After early voting ends on Friday, there's a lot of work that has to be done. People have to be given credit for voting. They have to go through the voting roll and compare the people who have voted early voting to make sure that on Tuesday they don't show up and vote again. So you've got to have some order. You know, everything we do, irregardless if it's getting a driver's license, being in this legislature, there are rules. We follow rules. We're born and we follow rules every day of our life. But Cobb County, that county that had the pop-up voting, isn't that also the county that refused to accept the districts that were drawn by the legislature? Yeah, they're in the Wild West. They're going to do what they want to do. They're not going to follow the rules like 158 other counties, and the courts had to make them go back and follow the districts that the legislature had drawn. I rest my case. I'm not an attorney, but I was an election official, and I know what I'm doing. And I thank you, Mr. President. I yield the well.